Hey everyone, happy Friday. Welcome to a brand new show. I just wanted to give a quick little intro to today's episode. It's something that I've never done before, and I was actually asked to be a part of a video series called The MISDIAGNOSED WOMAN probably a month or so ago, and I honestly didn't want to do it because it's video, and I'm so used to being behind the mic, and I didn't think I was ready to share my story on video because I didn't think I would come across in the friendly Kelly that I am, because I'm still really angry about things. I'm going to therapy, obviously, for that. But, it's something that's really hard to tell, and I get really upset most of the time. And because it was video, I was nervous that I would start hysterically crying. So I had to wait on it for a couple days. And then, I realized it's not about me. It's about sharing my story so that I can help other people. So that's why I'm sharing this audio clip from the video series. This series has several medical experts that are included, as well as myself, experts that have been featured on ABC, NBC, Yahoo Finance, Daily Herald, HUFFPOST, PBS, Fox, like all the networks. They've all been asked, and they're all taking part in this video series. So I'm actually extremely honored that they even asked me that. They wanted me to share my story. So we actually had quite a few laughs, and you can tell I'm finally coming out of, the darkness, and I'm able to tell my story a lot more clearer than before, because I'm remembering a little bit more. And, I can't share everything because I'm going through the legal aspect of it now, but I did share a lot that I haven't shared anywhere else. So if you or someone you know has been misdiagnosed, you're going through something health related, you are absolutely going to want to listen to this episode as well as watch the video series, because there's so many medical experts and nurses, and I think a couple other patients that are involved. And what we share is just another aspect of, you have to be your own advocate. You have to share your story. You have to be organized with your health. So that's why I said yes to this video series event. I was honored they asked me, and today you are going to hear the audio version of it. Check the show notes. There's a ton of information there for you. I'm offering a 30-minute consultation to help you organize your medical records if that's something that you're in need of. I have the link so that you can join the video series event and see and hear what these other experts have to say. So I hope that either you or someone you know needs this kind of information, and that you enjoy today's show. So I hope you like it, and let me know what you guys think in the comments if you're listening on my website, thehappyworkaholic.com, or please leave me a review over on Apple Podcasts and let me know if this is something else that you want to hear more of, not just my story of being misdiagnosed, but of other patients, because that series is coming out soon. So rate, review, and subscribe over on iTunes and Apple Podcasts. I would truly appreciate it. I have a big goal of hitting 200 reviews by my 200th episode, and that is just a couple shows away. So I'd really appreciate that. Let's get into today's show. You're listening to the Happy Workaholic podcast. I'm your host, Kellyanne Gorman. This show was once about business, LinkedIn, and my life with an autoimmune disease. And then one day I found out I was misdiagnosed, so I had to switch things up a bit. Life is so short, and when you're given a second chance, you better believe I'm going to take it, celebrate it, and share it with you. I'm on a mission to help women take their business and life to that next level they deserve to be at. This show is intended to elevate your mind, upgrade your business, enhance your life, and become part of a positive and uplifting community. Inspiration, motivation, and determination are what got me to where I am today, and I cannot wait to share these amazing stories of other female entrepreneurs who will be featured on the show. If you have a story or brand you want to share, send me a message on Facebook and Instagram today. You can find me at The Happy Workaholic. I would love to connect with you. Do you want a live chat during this episode? Make sure you're listening on iHeartRadio. I'm here to remind you to work hard, stay humble, follow your dreams, and never, ever give up. Thanks for taking the time to subscribe to the Happy Workaholic podcast. And now let's get into today's show.
Welcome back to the Misdiagnosed Woman. So today we have Kelly Ann Gorman, who is an entrepreneur, podcaster, and she's a business and life coach. So in 2016, Kelly was diagnosed with MS, and in 2017, she was diagnosed with an extremely rare autoimmune disease called NMO. She quickly learned that becoming an advocate for your own health and rights would be a full-time job, and she needed to use her voice and create a platform for others to come to be heard and to learn more. And that is when her podcast, The Happy Workaholic, was born, a show that focuses on business, LinkedIn, and life with an autoimmune disease, which Kelly knows, the three things that Kelly knows best. So in 2019, Kelly found out that she was misdiagnosed with both diseases. And not only did she have to change her way of everyday thinking and living, but also had to change the format and model of her show. So welcome, Kelly. I can't wait to hear all about this story. This is really amazing. So just tell me a little bit about being diagnosed at first with MS, which my dad has, by the way. And also, before we even start, I want to say Kelly and I both are getting over colds. Yeah. I just got a puppy 4 days ago, and I'm allergic to her, so I'm also working through that as well. So we're gonna work through that today. Well, Kelly, start telling us about being diagnosed with MS and NMO, which also tell us what NMO stands for.
Okay, well, Paul, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity, even though we have colds, to share my story. I've got through a lot of therapy, so I'm at the point now where I can actually laugh about things again. But neuromyelitis optica is what NMO is, and basically you can become blind and paralyzed like this, at any given moment. It could happen while I'm talking to you.
Oh my Lord!
That's why I started my podcast, because I had 20 plus years of business experience. I'm like, how am I going to make money if I can't see or move around? I could still use my loud mouth. I could still use my voice. That's how I was going to make money. So I just taught myself everything that I knew, Googled and YouTubed everything, and that's how I launched my show. And first, so rewind, how this all happened was 3 years ago, 2016, I was scheduled for surgery to remove fibroids. And my doctor said, these signs are different because this was my third surgery of this kind. And she said, it seems like you have MS or you're about to have a stroke, and I don't feel comfortable operating because you're having all these extra symptoms. When did this start? So it just happened a couple weeks ago. I was at my pre-op, and that's 7 days prior. So she said I had to be seen by a neurologist, cleared, in order for her to do the surgery.
Wow.
I usually do. I took on my health as a job, and I got cleared. I was seen, got 3 MRIs, and was cleared all before surgery. And when those MRIs came back, and I was like, no. And it just didn't seem right. So I thought for about a good solid year and a half, I had MS. But I've gone through total now 10 neurologists. So where I was in Vegas, there was 5.
Wow.
And said MS, maybe NMO, that was down the road. And then I went to a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth. So I no longer had MS the next year. I now only had NMO. Some neurologists say, back in the day, a couple years ago, NMO was a part of MS, a variant. Now it's its own. So you cannot have both. It's one or the other.
Okay.
So telling me, well, you have a little bit of both. No, I don't. That's not the case. So I fought them on it. Everything I do in business, I literally took my health on as a job, and that's the only way I got through it.
Wow, Kelly.
Yeah, it's crazy. So first it was MS, then it was NMO, and then it was okay, well, what's my treatment? So with any crazy rare disease, they put you on the strongest med possible to suppress you.
Right.
So that was chemo for me.
Mm.
Chemo was a lifelong sentence. It wasn't let's shrink a tumor and you're free. It's this is your treatment for the rest of your life so that you don't become blind and paralyzed. So I did 8 rounds in a very short time. So basically, and like another part of the story is I was actually overdosed with the drug because the normal protocol would have been twice a year, but I had 8 in a couple of months.
Wow.
So now I'm working on my memory, but I was doing so much. I just, you have that feeling in your gut. Well, I had that feeling in my gut, and I always go with it. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing chemo for the rest of my life. This is not for me. I'm going to figure something else out and go from there. So I came to San Diego, where I am now. This was a year and a half ago. I found myself a specialist, and the first thing out of his mouth was, I don't think anything's wrong with you. And I'm like, you're crazy. I've gone through 5 neurologists. So then I fought him, but then turns out he was right because I got 4 more specialists after him.
Not funny. It's not funny, but
no, it's not funny. But like, you have to laugh because like this is literally my life, and it's like you have to laugh at the end of the day because it's like I'm telling a story. Like the only reason I can tell this story and not like be hysterical or angry now is 1 because of therapy, and 2 because I'm like fighting them now in the legal.
Yes,
area.
Right.
It's like you can't make it up. Like we always say. My best friend and I always say, like, you can't make this stuff up. But, like, what happened to me, and I documented since day 1, thank God, I documented every single thing all over the internet, on my YouTube, on my Instagram, on my Facebook. Like, when I found out I had MS, the first thing I did was do a Facebook Live. I don't even know, how I got, like, the strength or the courage. I think I was hysterical. Some of them I can't really look back at yet, but
yeah.
I told the world I had MS. I was already running a business online. Like, I couldn't hide it. I was asking for help, I think. I was asking for other people. Like, how do I survive? It's a lot of information to get.
Right.
So that's how I got diagnosed. And it was through different variants that ended up being wrong and done wrong. So now I actually, as of January last year, so we're coming up on 1 year, is when it was official in writing, like, you've been misdiagnosed. You never had MS. You never had NMO. You don't have tumors in your brain and spine, and you're good to go.
Oh, okay.
It's insane.
I just need a second. Okay. What were your symptoms? Like what were your symptoms? I understand it happened, like that first misdiagnosis was around your surgical time. What were your symptoms that made anyone even think MS or NMO? What were the symptoms that led them to that original diagnosis?
It was like the usual ones that would be like a red flag to a doctor, like heat flashes, tingling, memory loss, like all the basics. So then when I had tumors in my brain, but they went away. And then the blood work was done wrong, which was showing false positive.
Oh, okay.
But when you're put on heavy meds, heavy meds, and still you get symptoms and side effects, which happen to be as the disease. So.
Oh my Lord, there was a medic. Oh. Okay.
Yeah. I can't even tell you how many times I've gone to the ER. Like, this is it. My time's up. I can't see. I'm seeing the white lights. Like, someone's calling me from upstairs. My best friend's rushing me to the ER. The doctor has to Google. I had a medical chain. I had a metal port for my chemo. I had the wrist. Like, I had brochures. Like, I walked around like I was a spokesperson because I passed out in the supermarket. Nobody would know what the hell to do with me. So at least if they like my medical IDs, they'd be like, okay, this is it. Because every time I ended up in the ER, it's like I had to school these physicians. It's not their fault. It's so rare. Like, there's thousands of rare diseases. That's why you have to be your own advocate, because you have to think as a patient, you have to take your health on as a job or somebody you're taking care of, because there are thousands of nurses and millions of nurses, millions of doctors that have a job to do. Their job is not clerical work. If there's a typo, you should have caught that. I caught it. I caught it after a 9-day hospital stay. It said I had MS. If I got rushed to that hospital again, they would have given me an MS drug and I would have dropped dead. You have to be on top of it. Like, I preached that. And then I started a YouTube series where it was all about getting organized with your health and being your own advocate. And like, you've got to do it yourself. Like, why are you going to rely on someone? Like, it's just like when you call to make that first doctor's appointment, you're on hold 30 minutes. You know what they're doing? They're working with hundreds of other patients. Like, you're just a number.
Well, and I titled the series Be Your Own Health Champion partially because of that, of needing to advocate.
Yeah.
Also because no one can care at the level that you care for yourself or for someone you love. Like, no matter how much a doctor or a provider cares, like, nobody can care the way you care and the way that you care. Or if you're the caregiver, if you're the primary caregiver of someone who has a chronic illness, advocacy is a huge, huge piece to this, to their wellness, and to everybody's sanity, in both your advocate and the person who's ill. It's crucial. It's absolutely crucial. You're dead on with that. Like, so what are your suggestions around advocacy? I like that you said that you caught a Claire. So do you just like, you were writing everything down? You were like, did that look like in a journal form?
It was like a whole system. So like, I would walk into a hospital or like rush into an ER or like walk into an appointment. You know, there's shift changes. Like, you're not going to see the same nurses and doctors, and they would just roll their eyes. Like, look at this one coming in with her like paperwork. But you know what? They can still talk about me now because I'm alive. I saved my own life. Like, I literally saved my own life. If I listened to these doctors, I would have been dead. The type of chemo I was on, they overdosed me with. The type of chemo I was on closes your throat immediately, and that's why they have to drip it so slow. So there's a chance of death every single time that drug was in me, 8 times. And the fact that I flagged clerical errors, like, that's not okay. So in order to like be your own advocate and be organized, I had this little pill box. And every Sunday, I mean, because I was like bedridden some weeks, so every Sunday I needed a project. So I'd write down Monday through Sunday what my drugs were, what the milligrams. It matched my iPhone, it matched the emergency contact, my will, my medical alert, like everything was, you could find it in my purse, you can find it on my iPhone, you can find it on my email, and all my emergency contacts had that information. So I would say if you want to start, like, I mean, I took it to like a whole nother level, like I do with everything in my life. But if I didn't, like, I would not be here talking to you right now with our little cold. So you have to write down your meds. I think that's number one. If there is something that you're fighting, like if you do have a chronic illness, like God forbid you're in the middle of the freezer aisle, sometimes those bright lights affect you. They affected my eyes. And I would like start shaking, and I thought that was my time. Like, my time's up. Oh my God, I'm going to die buying a frozen pizza. Like, this is my life. Like, that's how I had to think. And I had to always have everything on me. You have to have it in your phone, and you have to have it on you. Because if something ever happens, no one's going to know what to do with you. If you have some chronic illness and some super rare disease that I have, and you're in the middle of the supermarket and you pass out and the medics come, like, they're just going to do normal protocol. That's not enough for someone that has all these drugs that are in their system. They may give you a flush of an IV that contradicts something that's in your blood, and you're done. So that's the first thing. Meds, I think they should always be written in a notebook. Like, I have like a little sheet of paper I have in my pill case, and then I had it on my necklace I used to wear all the time.
Okay.
That's like priority. And then on the back, if you flipped it, there was a list of doctors. Just in case anybody needed to get a little phone call. But that's how you do it. Like, I have so many podcast episodes about how you have to be organized with your health, just like a job or in your house or, you know, any situation. I mean, if you want to live a long life, you've got to be organized and scheduled, and that's just number one. That's the priority.
Right. Okay. Wow. Okay. So you had a lot of chemo that you didn't need.
Yeah.
Okay. And you managed to get to a specialist. I'm actually curious how you went from selecting specialist to specialist, because I know.
Foundation.
What's that?
There's a foundation for NMO.
Oh.
And it's a specialist per state. And so I went with the one that was available. No one's ever available.
Oh, so yeah, because I mean, I think always getting a second opinion is super important if you're not getting better. You know, if you're not getting results, a second opinion is definitely warranted, and sometimes even before that. So how did you end up with the specialist in San Diego who did figure this out for you or help you?
So I actually was trying to get in with another one, and then after 3 months of waiting, I already had moved here. They said, well, she's not available anymore, but we have this one. And so I went with that one. Thank God. And he basically saved my life. And I was up with chemo in 6 months, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Like, there's something wrong. And he's like, you were right. And he had 18 neuroradiologists look at scans. Perfect. And mine. And they all matched.
Wow.
Yep. And I kept taking the blood test, which you have to do a very specific way through very specific labs, 6 extra times, and they were all negative.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah. And along with like other things.
So was your move for that reason? Was for your case? That's amazing. I've heard before. Go ahead.
I packed 2 suitcases and I came to San Diego and I needed to see that doctor. And then I ended up moving all my stuff like months later.
Yeah. It's a wonderful place, but
yeah,
it's definitely San Diego's awesome.
But yeah, I was in Vegas and I had lived here before. I was in Vegas 6 years and sick for the last 3. And I came here. That was the closest one.
Okay. Whew. Okay, so wow. And so was it a total of 6 months that doctor really confirmed that you were okay, that you were fine, that you didn't have MS or NMO?
I think it was August or October.
Okay.
Not the spring. So I waited months. And I had over 100 pages getting faxed like at a time of my records. And I came with my own.
Wow.
Like, just in case, here you are. Yeah, there was a lot of records. And then he's like, reports aren't going to do anything. There was a lot of things that were misreported that weren't actually visible on my scans. So he needed the actual scans. So I went to Vegas, got the physical discs.
Wow.
And delivered them. I think there was 25 MRIs.
Yeah, I could see why your whole life is really I could see why everything is just around exactly this. What's your biggest, there's like a million takeaways that I'm getting just from listening to this, but what are your top takeaways from your whole experience? Because I also think it's great that you are doing or have, I don't know if you've completed therapy about this, but realizing the heavy emotional toll that this has taken. Wow. What is your biggest takeaway now? Where are you now? How do you feel too?
Now I feel good. I'm still doing, I feel great because I'm living my life for the first time. And the therapy I'm doing is called EMDR.
Oh,
and it's for PTSD and trauma, which clearly I have. Like, you wouldn't think now, but like when I'm bedridden some days and so depressed, like I still think I'm sick. Like, those are the bad days. But, and it comes with what happened to me, so usually that's done with tapping. But usually that's done with eye, because it's eye sensitivity, like that type of therapy. But I was getting vertigo, and I still have vertigo from withdrawing from meds. It's a side effect.
Yeah.
Well, I'm dealing with that annoying thing. But so we're doing it with tapping. We're doing it like a different type of way. So that therapy is really helping with my memory. I don't remember things. I've been going back and forth to Vegas a lot, and just my last 2 times, I started remembering things for the first time. I didn't even know. You don't know you forgot something.
Right.
And it happens, and you're like, oh my God. It's like I blacked out my life of like years. Like, even things from like childhood. Like, I have no recollection of things, which is like insane to me. Right. Because I would remember or every now and then throughout the day, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'll just think of something random and I'll text a friend and she's like, you didn't know that? And I'm like, no, I just remembered. Like, it's like a joke now because it's happening a lot now because of this therapy, which is great. But my takeaway to answer your question is you always need to be your own advocate and you have to trust your gut. Like, you have to. Like, in business, I always say, go with your gut, follow your dreams, never give up. Like, that's the same thing here. Like, if I trusted those doctors any longer, I would not be here talking to you. I went with my gut. I packed my stuff up, got on a plane, and figured it out. You have to your gut and just go with it and just, make sure that you have your own notes, make sure you're organized, and just go from there. But that system works in every kind of health situation that there ever is. That's the system that works. That's how you're going to come out like a winner.
I love, so one of my big takeaways is take your health on like a job.
Oh yeah.
I love that because so many of us, first of all, have jobs and are dedicated and good at our jobs. And we don't think of our health as something that we need to be dedicated and good at, and especially until something goes wrong. A lot of times we don't do it in a state where we're not feeling like where we need to see a physician. But like in a case where you have a diagnosis, right or wrong, whatever it is, even if it's not the right diagnosis, you get to really know that you're up to a big thing, and yes, take it on as exactly as you mentioned as a job. I think that's amazing.
Those that are strong-willed like me are like, oh, it's fine. Like really high tolerance of pain. The workaholics like myself, like you feel something, like just go, like get it looked at. I didn't go. It was somebody like saying like, good thing you're pre-ops this week because all this happened. But I never would have thought. I was just so stressed with work. I was like, living the Vegas lifestyle and I lived in the travel business. I was working like crazy. Like you don't realize when you're like in it, like something could be happening to you. Like, oh, is that why I keep getting headaches every night? Or is that why like my leg is tingling? Like you need to pay attention.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, so you feel better. Well, I mean, you feel great now because you're able to live your life the way, like you're able to put the pieces back together and not, right. And not live in fear, because that's horrible. Like that alone is just a really tough way to live. And then what are you up to these days? Like I know that if you want to talk a little bit about the podcast and what you're up to right now.
So now, as an extension of this story, I'm representing myself in 6 medical malpractice cases. So basically, my own attorney. I'm dealing with 8 investigators, 6 attorneys, 6 paralegals, 6 insurance reps, like all at the same time in the beginning of this. My birthday is June 10th. That's when the process started. I should be done. I mean, I should have been done 4 months ago, but law firms like to take their time. And I'm pretty sure they're sick of seeing my emails every day. So we should be done. I'm hoping by my date, January 23rd, that's when I was misdiagnosed. If I'm done by then, I'll be very happy with all 6. So I'm going to take the bar to become an attorney to help thousands of other patients in the next couple of years, hopefully next summer.
Amazing.
Yeah. Like this happened for a reason. I don't know what it is, but it's like I'm loud. I have a platform. I have a voice. I'm still alive. Like I need to help. That's it. That's how I look at it. My podcast is now totally shifted because now the Happy Workaholic podcast is about mind, body, and business. So it's like a positive up-leveling of the business LinkedIn life with an autoimmune disease because I don't have that anymore. So I had to shift my whole entire brand. So that being the Happy Workaholic Network. So if you go to thehappyworkaholic.com, my life story is there. everything I do for work is there. My podcast is there. My YouTube channel, like I live online. Everything I've done is very visible.
Okay.
Yeah. So I record, I'm in 65 countries now, which is so amazing.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I try to every day, like, inspire and motivate and just tell people, like, just last night or the night before. Oh no, it was last night. Somebody was asking me about my show, like, my memory, I forget, like, what exactly she asked, but my answer was, well, because I'm able to get up every morning. Like, oh, she's like, how do you do all this stuff? Because I have a lot on my plate right now. Like, I'm the busiest I've ever been. I'm just like doing a lot of things in my business that are launching soon. She's like, how do you have the energy? Like, how do you do this every morning? Like, and I'm like, because I can get up every morning. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like, I'd go to sleep, like, okay, this is it. This is my last sleep. And I don't have that anymore. So
it's a hard
now I have 24 hours and every day I can help people with, you know, whether it's with my business, with my show, with sharing my story. Like, you can't give up, like, and it's up to you, the patient, to figure it out. And that's it. And I have to talk like that because people don't take me seriously if I don't.
I love it. I love it. I think it's stern but loving. I like it.
Yeah.
I had another speaker who mentioned that there's a philosophy or like a thought process that sometimes in illness or these things that happen in our lives that can almost be traumatic, how it's almost a calling. And so I love that you are now like taking all of what happened, and instead of like just kind of like putting a blanket over your head and just going, why did this happen to me? You are like even bolder, even more visible, and wanting to go like further in and even represent, like go into law about I think this is amazing. It's amazing. It's wonderful.
There's just not enough people. I feel like I could be the best attorney for another patient because I did it. I know the medical side, and now I know the legal side because I went after all of them on both sides, and I lived it. So, like, you can't find a better attorney.
This is true. I mean, I would totally hire you. 100%.
Before I even start my practice.
Yes, 100%. Yes. It was so awesome talking to you today. And I want you just to mention again about the podcast, where to find you, and what you're doing online. And I think you also had a free gift also for the listening audience.
Oh, yes. So, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I always appreciate sharing, another platform to share my story so I can help other patients that are guessing anything. And if they are, now, like, follow your gut and do what's right. My podcast, my business, everything can be found at thehappyworkaholic.com.
Okay. Yep.
And I have, what kind of free offer should I do? I'll do a 30-minute consult for any patient that has any questions on, obviously, I just have to say I'm not a medical or legal professional. I am a patient, and I'd be more than happy to hop on a call with them and help them, in helping and organize their own records. And I do have a lot of YouTube videos on how to do that, but sometimes it's better, like, easier to get on a call with someone. So if there's any other patients that need help in organizing what they're doing, I'm here.
That's amazing, Kelly. Thank you so much.
Of course, my pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you liked this episode, please share it with someone who you feel needs to hear this message. And don't forget to tag me at The Happy Workaholic on Facebook and Instagram so I can feature you on my stories. And if you have 2 minutes and listening on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, I would love it if you could leave me a review. Those messages mean so much to us podcasters, and they really help me create more of the content that you'll love. Want to continue today's conversation? It's simple. Head to Facebook and search for the Happy Workaholic Network Facebook group. Answer the questions and you're in. For more information on myself, coaching programs, weekly newsletter, and more, visit thehappyworkaholic.com. The Happy Workaholic Podcast is part of the iHeartRadio Podcast Network. Be sure to follow the Happy Workaholic Podcast on iHeartRadio or subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. I hope that your day continues to be happy, healthy, positive and productive, and I'll talk to you again soon.